up on this family farm, so I mean, I've kind of been farming since I was a little kid. But I guess after I went to college, I worked in Sioux Falls in the banking industry for about 3 years, and I just didn't really care to work in an office, so um, I was just looking for a way to get back to the country, I guess, and on the farm. So I worked for a couple local farmers for a few years before I really started farming on my own. And in that time, I slowly was building my cow herd up and started renting the farm ground from my dad. So that's kind of how it started for me. And then once he retired, I gradually just took over the whole farm. I grow mostly corn and soybeans and a small grain, whether it's oats or wheat or rye. And then I've got a cow herd, and I also raise about 20 butcher hogs just for our own personal self and a few local people. Just take them to the locker and for them. But anyway, I guess I have about 500 acres of farm ground and about 300 cows. When anyone starts, it's your lack of capital and just the financial aspect of it, and acquiring enough land or animals to make a living to support yourself is always a big obstacle when you start. So that's part of the reason why I had another job at first. I wasn't relying on the farm income to support the family at first. So that was the main obstacle. Well, I guess it's grown in more the way that I've looked at the soil. When I first started farming, I wasn't looking into that as much. I was more just looking at how I could make it work financially. And being a smaller operation, I was looking at different ways to do things. I was trying to figure out ways where I could capitalize each acre better than instead of growing size wise, is kind of what I was looking at. And then I started learning about soil health and how important that is. And then I kind of got more into that. So I just was looking at ways where that seemed like a way where I could increase my production or my profitability per acre, I guess I should say. And then I realized it's so much bigger than that. I feel like it's so important now, as I learned a lot more about it. Well, I've definitely implemented a rotational grazing system. That's one of the first things I did when I started with my cow herd. Was fortunate enough to go through the EQIP program and get a bunch of cross fences set in and a watering system set in. So that was probably the first thing that I did. And then on the farm ground, I started dabbling with cover crops and starting to learn a little bit more about those and finding times when I could implement those. And I definitely see a big benefit in those, trying to grow those between crops, or even in certain situations, if I could find a program where I could grow a full season cover crop to help me pay for some of the cost of it. I saw that as an opportunity to get them in the rotation. Well, what motivates me is, I don't know, I think it's fun, it's different. I always think there's a better way to do something. So I try a lot of experiments on a small scale, and a lot of them fail, so you'll probably never hear about a lot of them, but I'm hoping some will work. And a lot of the stuff I do, I find other people doing it first and saying, well, maybe I could try that around here. So a lot of the stuff I do, I just steal from other people, really. I wouldn't say I'm that innovative. It comes down to the soil and then the financial. I'm always looking for ways to improve the soil, but also being able to maybe find a way to capture the sunlight better, something like that maybe I can get more production, but just by capturing the sunlight a little differently, or improving the soil. Yeah, I guess I don't know if the legacy is that important, but yeah, I definitely want to improve from where I took over. And then I'd like to implement that into whoever is going to take over next, and hopefully they can take it another step further. So I definitely want to improve the soil, the function, the ecosystem while I'm here, while I'm in charge, making the decisions. So that's more important to me than the legacy, I guess. I like being my own boss, getting to make my own decisions, being able to try different stuff because it's my decision. So, and I just like working outside. I don't know. I like being able to see the system function on its own, without having to apply too much added inputs. It's nice to see if I manage it properly, it'd be able to perform on its own, I guess. Some of my goals are just, my main one is just to try to implement in my kids my passion for the soil health, and just I'm hoping one of them will want to take over and continue what I'm doing. And yeah, I just like to find new ways to do things. Maybe, I always think there's a better way, so I would love to find a better way, and I'll keep trying. Even if I do find a better way, I'll try to find another one. So that's my main goal, is just to keep improving and finding stuff that works, and constantly trying to improve the soil. I think so. I mean, they're still pretty young, but they're definitely showing some interest. If I can keep them off the Nintendo, they like to come out with me sometimes, but but they're around in the summertime a lot, so they tag along with me quite a bit. Sometimes I'm kind of watching them while I'm trying to work, so they don't have much of a choice. But yeah, I think it's good for them to find something that they like to do, that they're passionate about, and try to steer their operation towards that. So they you do a better job. You're more into it if it's something you're passionate about. And then I'd always definitely recommend that you always got to look at the financial part of it, but also the soil health part of it. You definitely need to consider from the beginning as well, because it takes time, but definitely find something that you're passionate about.